Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Desert Farmer Podcast, episode 47. We are here in February. I think, this is the last Saturday in February, isn't it?
I don't know.
That was quick. That was a major delay.
I'm like, I don't even know what the date is. Yes, because next Saturday is the 1st.
Okay, good. Do you have our spreadsheet up?
I do.
No? Okay, very good. Just want to thank you guys for joining us today. We got a lot of good content that we got for you guys. Got some updates we need to give you. And then the topic of today is one this time of year we always get a lot of questions on. So we'll be diving into that here in just a minute. But before we do, I want to give you guys a couple of housekeeping notes. Housekeeping note number 1 is what?
If you have a question, please write the word question, preferably in caps, and then you can state your question, which doesn't have to be in caps, but just state your question after that, and that way it stands out to me, and I make sure I catch it so we can get that answered for you.
Yep, so Lori's going to keep up with you guys down in the comment section, so she sees everything that you're saying. Usually she giggles, and I have to start asking questions. But yeah, if you have a question, that will help her track that down. And then housekeeping note number 2, if you are enjoying the podcast, please give us a thumbs up. We'd appreciate it. Helps us a lot, not only today, but in perpetuity. Okay, so we have a couple of things that we want to kind of give you guys updates on here. I can't see it, so you're going to have to read them off to me.
Yeah, because I sat this way and turned it.
Yeah.
I had to try to balance this where I can, type.
Uh-huh.
Anyways.
Okay.
So... First update would be we took our first round of pigs to the processor.
That is right. So we, as you guys know,
we did that the week before.
Yeah, it was the second round, but we got them there. So I don't think we gave an update, but either way, we got our second round and we've got 4 rounds total that we're doing. You guys know we raise market pigs here on the farm. Last couple of years, we finished about 20 pigs, and we have to split those up. Going to the butcher, and the first 2 rounds are there. Hanging weights were better than we thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's funny because we have those, we carry those pigs until they're about 9 to 10 months old, which is about ideal. And we've kind of changed how we feed or what we feed them over the years, and really kind of focused more on corn as opposed to bagged feed, because we can get corn in bulk. And so we still do some bagged feed and we do the bulk corn. So we're really trying to get away from as much of the soy as we can, which is in that bagged feed. So the corn allows us to do that. And the last couple of years, we've had fantastic results. And yet again, right? So that was good to see. And the second round we're there on yesterday. But did we get hanging weights yet?
No, I won't get him until probably Monday.
Okay. So the good news is for those folks who buy pork from us, you got pork coming here over the next few weeks. We'll be doing those deliveries here shortly, right? And then what's number 2? So we're setting a second thing in there.
Yeah, number 2 was the pole barn.
Oh, that's right. So one of the things that our big project this year is a pretty significant capital expense. But one of our major project this year is getting a dedicated and permanent area for the larger livestock. And, we do enjoy raising the market pigs. It's a great revenue source for the farm. So we're going to continue to do that. And we are going to expand the goats a little bit. So we've got 1 preggers here, right?
Yes.
We've confirmed. Well, we can tell at this point that Violet's pregnant.
Yeah.
And so, and of course, we're still trying. We got our coonies that we're not sure about yet. So we're trying to breed them, and I don't know that anybody got bred.
I don't think so.
Which is a problem. So, but either way, we want to add sheep, right? So we're going to plan on that, and we're probably going to add a Boer goat, which is a meat goat. I know we're looking at that as well. So we want to have a permanent home for them. Really so they can have shade, and we'll have like a mister system or something like that, so we can give them some moisture and a cooler area that they can hide in during the summertime. So we really need a home base, and we want to be able to do that for the larger animals back on the back of the farm. And at the same time, we're going to start working on a couple things on the back of the farm there that you guys are going to have to hang in there for, because we've got some larger kind of projects that we're going to do sort of around that building. Yeah. And we're designing it so that we can expand it, right?
Yes.
So what's the size now? So the initial size?
So it is 60 by 40.
Okay. So 40 feet deep, 60 feet wide. We'll have some permanent corrals in there. We will do some cement on at least a portion of it. So we're really looking forward to having that. And what's even better is that the farm is in a position now that it can finance it itself.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, which is what we've been waiting for. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's coming along good. So we got the first set of purlin in there. So they put the poles in, 2 weeks ago? So they cemented those down, and then they added the first few sections of purlin in there. So we have an idea already kind of what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we'll give you guys an update when we get our first vlog posted, which is still going to be a few weeks. We got more regular content coming for you guys. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So what else? Any other questions in there?
All right. So we have George. I have not seen bud break on my grapevines yet, but I am now watering twice a week. Have you seen any bud break?
So no bud break yet. So we're still watering once a week. So as soon as I see that, we'll double down on that and do 2. But that's normal. So those normally break dormancy. One of the last things we have break dormancy around here are the grapevines. So yeah, hang in there. I know I can't really give a month. I want to say they usually break dormancy in March. I know by April they have broken, but it's still February. As much as it's beautiful outside and a lot of the things have broken dormancy. Yeah, we're not seeing that here either. From what I recall, the last trees that break dormancy for us, the jujube, definitely one of the last ones. It likes it 90 degrees and above. Otherwise, it's not happy. The figs, typically those break dormancy late. They like the warmer temps, and grapevines. So those are late as well. The other thing that we have here on this farm that breaks late are all of the fall ripening apples. So the Gala, the Jersey Mac, and the Wainucci early. Those 3 also break dormancy very, very late. In fact, I think the Wainucci might be one of the last things that break dormancy here on the farm. So, and the grapevines are kind of clumped in there along with those. So perfectly normal.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like it should be with the weather.
I know.
Yeah, it is normal. Anything else?
Can we somewhere to see some photos from your blooming fruit trees on Instagram or Facebook?
We need to do that.
Well, we don't have anything current, but we do have stuff on those pages on both of those from
but maybe just an
previous.
An update for everybody since we haven't done a vlog.
Yeah, the update. The only thing we have right now that is even really leafing out and flowering is the peaches and the apples. The
apples are just starting, so yeah, that's a good request. So maybe get some pictures this week if you can. There you go.
Thanks, Michael.
They want to see. We're usually by this point we've done a vlog, and this year we're going to try to cut back on the vlogs because it's a lot of work. It's a whole lot of work. The biggest thing I think is a lot of folks, a lot of you guys, obviously you want to get updates on the farm and this kind of thing. But most people that watch our videos are not subscribed. Something like 90+% of the people that watch our videos are not subscribed. And they're coming there for information, so how to do something. Yeah. And I like giving that to folks. I think it's I'd like to be a resource for that. We feel good doing that. That's giving back to everybody. So we enjoy doing that. And this year we kind of had a focus of more content that is how to. Plus those are evergreen, and so those continue to gain views as the years go on. Sometimes more and more as it gets longer. And, we obviously YouTube is one of our revenue sources for the farm. And so we want to make sure we're giving content for everyone. But at the same time, we do need to give you guys a vlog because we need to get an update out. Yeah.
Well, and I feel like sometimes the vlogs, it's like, especially because I edit them, it's like the same thing over and over again. So maybe we just do it as soon as we start doing them. Maybe we just do at least once a month, do kind of a vlog with just like full updates on everything.
Yeah, and what we can do more often is maybe post on Instagram and Facebook. So that is a good request. I'm not going to say I told you so, but...
I know.
I don't know if you guys... I'm sure we talked about it last week, but the quick things like that are good for folks. But we had that snake that you and Tara got. And, that's like... that a lot of people have seen that one. So people are enjoying those little updates. Yeah. All right, any other questions before we get started? Topic of the day?
Yeah, you can go to the topic of the day.
Wow, you sound excited about this.
Well, we have Masood on here, so you can say hi because
marhaba,
I
Masood,
can't
marhaba.
read what that says. So.
That's okay. I can say hello.
Yep.
Yes. Hey, Masood. All right, what do we got?
All right, so topic of the day. But when do we start planting this spring?
Yes, so I'm going to give you a short answer and then I'm going to expound on that because there are some caveats. But now is the answer. Now is planting season. So a couple things. The first thing, of course, would be it depends on kind of what you're planting. So there are some exceptions. There's a few things maybe you wouldn't plant now. Like, for example, loquats, right? When we were talking about the thumbnail for today's video, we almost put us planting a loquat.
Well, yeah, because
right?
the last thing that we planted was the loquat, so that was like the first video I went to, and I'm like, no, we can't do that one.
No, because that would get really confusing fast because as much as you can plant a loquat now, if you keep it in the shade, maybe you'll be okay.
Yeah.
But we found out from experience that October is really your best month to plant that because it gives a chance to put roots down. Ours has been doing that. Our Yehud has been doing that. It has a little bit of growth, has had a little bit of growth kind of all winter. And so it's putting roots out. And then we had the great warm weather, which means we know the root growth was good this winter. And it's already starting to pushing some new growth now.
Yeah, it looks good.
It looks really good. So so that might be one of the caveats to fruit trees, but basically now is the time to plant fruit trees. So if you got a bare root fruit tree and you haven't done it yet, get it in the ground. It's going to break dormancy. You don't want it to do that before you get it planted. So if you've been putting that off, if you've had it healed in or something like that, definitely get those pulled into the ground. Definitely any potted fruit trees, now's the time. Citrus, this is a perfect time for planting citrus if you guys are going to do citrus. Any of your vines, those are now because those are going to be, as we talked about, George had the question earlier about the grapevines not breaking dormancy yet. That means now is your time. If you have any bare root, I know we've still got ours that are going to be coming from New York here in another week or two. So once they're here, you can bet the first thing we'll be doing as soon as they're here is getting those in the ground.
Yeah.
So because now is the time. So yeah, any of your fruit trees, all those are definitely now. If you guys are doing tropical trees, now is the time. Like right now is the time. If you're going to wait at all, you're really giving those trees, well, right now you're giving them the best luck to get through the summertime because they're going to get a chance to get some growth and some root mass into the ground. If you delay, you're really taking a chance with tropical trees. Once you get through March, game over because you're looking at a month to a month and a half at the most before you start seeing 100-degree temps and it will kill those trees. So yeah, now is the time. So a couple other things. Obviously, fruit trees is a big part of what we do here. We just planted a couple of trees this morning.
We
right?
did.
What did we plant?
So we planted 2 more black Pakistans that we had
That we propagated ourselves.
that we propagated because we had 2 spots in the back that we took trees out of, and we also planted a grapevine up at the front of the properity.
That was
sent to us from Ivy Organics.
Yep, Ivy Organics gifted that to all their affiliates, their sales folks. They granted those or gave those to us last year. So we've had it in a pot all summer long, and that one is a blueberry grape.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And then we have 2 trees that we're going to plant tomorrow.
Right. So we're going to do that. We will capture that on video for you guys. You guys suggested these trees to us for the front of the farm, and so I'm not going to share with you guys today because you're going to have to tune in a couple weeks. We'll show you guys planting them, but you guys probably already know what that is. But yeah, so definitely planting season now. As far as your in-ground crops, so if you're going to be direct seeding anything, that is now as well. So we'll be doing the same thing here probably over the next week or so. Realize we're a little behind you guys. The middle of February is the final frost date for you guys in the city, at least in Phoenix. For us, it's a little bit later, but for us, because we're looking forward at the temperatures for the forecast, we're in the 80s, 70s, and 80s. We're not getting any frost at this point. So while it can happen, we're done with the frost. So we'll be direct seeding. So if you're going to be direct seeding anything, now is the time. I know at least for the in-ground crops, there's a few that we're planting right away, right? What are we planting right away? Seeding.
So we are going to get some zucchini in the ground. We're gonna do some more of the squashes, right? So like the butternut squash, spaghetti squash,
which did fantastic in the fall.
I think I'll get some beets in the ground.
That's for Dominique, right?
Yeah.
So,
I'll save a couple for us for salads, but mostly for her to buy. And then I have to go through the binder.
I know cucumbers, right? So
Yeah, cucumbers. We'll have to do some tomatoes, which I might buy starts for that. We'll have to do some, get some more peppers.
Yep.
We'll have
Lots of peppers. It seems to happen to us
basil.
every
Maybe get
year.
some basil in the
Basil.
ground.
Yep, we had basil right in through into January.
Yeah.
This year. So yep. So all those, if you're going to be seeding direct, should start seeing plant starts now in the local nurseries. So plant start time as well. So if you're going to put in a start or you've started them yourself, at this point, time to probably go ahead and put those in. Probably not going to see a final frost, but you want to make sure you get in early enough because all of these, they're all basically all fruits. I mean, that's basically what we're planting at this point. So all of these fruits take, anywhere from a low of 80 days or so up to about 120 days. So, you're looking at 3 to 4 months. Well, we're looking at June, basically, if you get those in the ground today. So you definitely want to get those planted out if you haven't done so already here in the lower part of Arizona. So in the central part of Arizona, now is the time. You're going to miss your window if you don't get these in the ground. So obviously, I'm sure you guys already know this, but there's certain crops that you probably don't want to do at this point. If you're going to do radishes the next couple of months, you could plant them every 30 to 45 days. You could definitely do those, get a quick harvest, and then you'll shut that down. But you wouldn't be planting your lettuces, your brassicas, things like that, or not now. Don't plant garlic or onions right now. You might be able to get away with some e-toys on a really quick plant and harvest, but they won't multiply very well. Those are fall crops. You wouldn't want to do that. So, yeah. I did notice walking by so we have our tapari beans. They're pretty much permanently in those beds.
Yeah.
And so I noticed that we have some sprouted already.
Yeah,
Did you see that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that warm snap that we had last week got up into the 80s. Beautiful day today again. I mean, we were in short sleeves by the time, 9 o'clock rolled around doing that planting. So just a beautiful, beautiful time of year. And it is absolutely time to plant. We were talking about it today. So we planted literally hundreds of fruit trees here in Arizona. And, that's a lot. We've dug a lot of holes, a lot of trenches in order to get all those trees planted. And it's funny because we get through into, like May and June every year. Like, I never want to plant a tree again.
Yeah, I'm so tired of it.
I know. And yet we were out there this morning. I'm like, yeah, let's get these trees planted. I'm looking forward to getting these in the ground.
You were all gung-ho. You were like ready to just go and buy another dozen trees and plant them.
I'll tell you what, it was ridiculous. So it's a disease. I'm sure you guys agree. Yeah, it's a disease. I've got it much stronger than you do. So I should probably seek help. I'm sure there's help out there somewhere.
I'm sure there is.
So if I didn't give enough emphasis, if I wasn't emphatic enough, get everything in the ground right now. Yeah, now's the time to plant. Get off your tail and go plant. Now's the time.
All right. All right.
What else we got?
So this year we are moving to southern New Mexico.
Okay.
And then, and it appears that the climate is similar to yours. What evergreen trees would you recommend for fast growth and shade?
Okay, so if you're looking for fast growth and shade, let me know what zone you're in because I would always go to, like, if it's more like us, 9B, your desert adapted shade trees like your mesquites and your palo verdes would probably be okay. I don't know whether or not you can grow any type of pine, so it'll kind of depend on how high up in elevation you are. Pine can be slow or it could be a little faster, so those would be good. Outside of that, I really wouldn't be able to say because I haven't lived in that. If it's cooler than here,
it just says that similar climate.
Okay, yeah.
So it's I don't know how to say this. Desert.
Oh, I'm not sure. A Chihuahuan desert.
Like
yeah, so I mean, if it is desert, then your mesquites and your palo verdes and things like that would probably still be okay.
But is that what you're looking for? Is like desert adapted shade trees, or are you looking for? Were you talking about fruit trees?
Yeah, if it's fruit trees, it depends on the zone because New Mexico can be cooler than us. So a lot of time, and I've traveled to New Mexico. I mean, you can be zone 8. So if you're down that far, you're probably not looking at an evergreen as far as a fruit tree. And generally speaking, your cooler weather, I mean, we're kind of on the cusp of that. So your tropical trees are typically evergreens.
8A.
8A, yeah. I'm not aware of an evergreen that's going to actually work there for you. Even I think some of your brambles would not be evergreens. So even like blueberries. So you're cooler there. So you're really going to be best to go with a deciduous tree. I don't know that you're going to have an option if you're looking for a fruit tree. I could be mistaken.
Yeah, and they just put we will be in 8A and then shade.
Okay,
so
yeah.
If it's just shade trees, then
So if it's just shade trees, yeah. So I still think mesquites and palo verdes would probably do okay. Your best bet when you get there, go to a local nursery. So, go to Home Depot or a local nursery. They're going to have your plants there. So, and they'll know better than I will.
Yeah.
I just don't know whether or not they'll be an evergreen. You're at 8A, you're probably looking at shade trees that lose their leaves.
So what about, I know we did sisu trees on our property in the city,
Yep.
and they grew really fast.
Yep. Yeah,
Is
but
that
even
considered a shade tree?
it is a shade tree. But even your sisu, your mesquite, and your palo verde, they will drop their leaves when it's that cold. So they won't really be evergreens.
won't.
They're
Okay.
really not evergreens here. You know, so all of our mesquite trees have lost all their leaves. So with a few exceptions. So there's a little bit of leaf matter on them, but they lose most of them.
Yeah, the
So-
only evergreens that we have on the property, obviously fruit trees, but it's citrus and loquats. Mm-hmm. That's really it.
And
so.
you might be able to try loquats there. That's a possibility. I might give that a shot. And then you're talking about in ground, I'm assuming. So you might give them a shot. I don't.
Shade or fruit trees would be nice, but mostly looking for growth.
Yeah. So and again, your best bet might be pine because that is an evergreen, and you're cool enough that you might be able to do that. So they just don't grow super fast. So and shade, yeah, not really. So you might. I don't know that you're going to be able to. Maybe somebody has some suggestions here for you, but I get the feeling you're going to wind up with deciduous trees just because of how cold it's going to get for you. So, what else? I see green from over here.
Yes, so we have Pam here and did a super chat.
Thank you for the super chat, Pam.
Thank you, Pam.
You are a sweetheart.
And
Are we going to see Pam this spring? Usually we're delivering meat or she's coming here for meat. One of the two.
we'll just have to see how it goes with chickens.
Okay.
What's the fastest growing citrus orange tree to grow?
Well, okay. Citrus generally doesn't grow fast. So the key to that is going to be the right rootstock. So I would tell you that as long as you have a rootstock that is specifically for us here in Arizona, so you're looking for typically trees from Sunset Nursery in Yuma. So they do I believe it's a sour orange, if I'm not mistaken, and then Reed when he has them. I just don't know if he's got any right now. So and then most of your local nurseries here have the Sunset or Sunrise, whatever it is, nursery citrus trees. So make sure you have the right rootstock, and then avoid things like kumquats. Those are typically on dwarfing rootstocks, and those are much slower. And then, as much as I love mandarins can grow a little bit slower. They're just a smaller tree, so any of your kind of naturally dwarfing trees won't grow quite as fast. So, but your Arizona sweets, your grapefruits, any of your grapefruits would be fine on the right rootstock. Those would be good. Caracaras, we love our caracaras here. Those are great. If you're going to do a lemon, the Lisbon or Eureka lemons are typically faster growing than your Meyer lemons. But we prefer the Meyer lemon personally. And then with limes, you're looking at a Mexican lime. We're going away from the Bear's lime because of the disease that 90+% of those trees have. So we don't suggest those anymore. But a Mexican lime or a key lime would be a good option, but it won't grow quite as fast. So, and then all of your mandarins are about the same. They are a little bit slower growing typically because it's a smaller tree when it's all said and done. So, but focus in on that rootstock. That'll take you a long way.
All right, so it's revolutionary hippies that just asked that question. They had commented moringa, so I don't know if that is referring to the shade tree that we were talking about with the other person.
Okay, clarify that.
Moringa does, well, we cut ours back. So.
Moringa will die in Zone 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll die to the ground. So whether it'll survive or not in Zone 8, I don't know for sure, because that's way too cold for that. But if you're going to take it inside the house, you keep it potted, you probably could. If not, definitely going to have to mulch it very, very heavy and cut it back to the ground. Because we killed a fully grown moringa tree on the old farm, fully grown. The trunk was, help me because I exaggerate, it was probably about that big around.
Yeah,
right?
It was big.
So that one died when we hit 20 degrees. So that's Zone 9A territory. And we killed a full-grown moringa tree when we hit 20 degrees. So you'll be colder than that. If that was the suggestion, I'm not sure. Maybe it was
Yeah, I
something
don't
else.
know if that's, if they were saying that for a suggestion of that or if they were saying that for,
Okay. Yeah,
something
moringa
else.
love heat. So
Yeah.
that's a heat loving tree. So what else?
How do you feel about Home Depot plants?
It depends. So it depends on what it is. I generally won't buy a fruit tree from Home Depot. So there's a myriad of reasons why. The primary ones are improper rootstock. All the time. It's always the wrong rootstock. I have never seen the right rootstock at Home Depot. So that's my primary concern because most of your fruit trees are on a rootstock. Well, the vast majority of them are. The exception would be something like pomegranate. So I wouldn't have a problem with that because that is not a grafted tree. So if you're going to do pomegranate, go for it. They're as good as any. So the second part is we've had plants mislabeled from other nurseries as well, but it's common at Home Depot. So we've had multiple trees from Home Depot that have been wrong, just wrong. Hasn't been the right variety. So that's my second concern. And then of course the third thing is I think for me, we are a small business, and so we try to promote and take care and frequent small local businesses, even if it's regional. Like Summer Winds is regional. I'll still go to a regional like Summer Winds before I stop at a Home Depot. So, and better service. If you have a question, if you go to Home Depot, you might find somebody, who might know something, but chances are good you probably won't. I mean, most of us go to Home Depot, we can't even find somebody to show us where the screws are.
Yeah.
So then you're going to walk out and ask somebody a question about a tree they're growing there. I don't know that I would trust the advice, only because we've been burned ourselves there. So that'd be the only thing. That's the major issue. Incorrect rootstocks. It'll be the wrong variety. They've got Gala apple trees. That's the wrong tree to put in the ground here in Arizona.
Even though we have one.
We've got one and we still don't have fruit. We've never gotten fruit off of it, And so if you want to we're doing that because we already have 16 different apple trees that are all giving us a lot of apples. Sure. We'll try a few just to see if we can get a ripe apple off of them versus dozens, hundreds off of the other ones, so just wrong varieties and wrong rootstock. That's the biggest challenge. So unless you really know what you're doing when you walk in there and you can confirm that the rootstock is correct and those types of things, I would avoid it. So,
I got Deacon that suggested a bay laurel or evergreen and would work.
That's a fantastic
zone
suggestion. Great suggestion. So, and they grow like crazy here. It's funny. We went by the old farm. And I haven't talked to Darren and Natalie recently, so I don't want to reach out and say, hey, can we just come visit you? Because we haven't spoken to them in a while. But we went and met another couple that we know that lives on that same street. And we drove by the old farm, and that bay laurel is massive.
Yeah.
It is huge. So, yeah, but it's a beautiful tree, and it's evergreen.
Yeah.
Great suggestion. Yeah.
For Rennie.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Where can I find strawberry papaya trees?
I have no idea. Probably Seamus would be my guess.
I would probably say Seamus.
Right? Here South Phoenix, you might find you were just at Richard's Garden Center. Do you know? Yeah, you're not going to remember.
I wasn't looking for I didn't see any papaya, but I wasn't looking for them.
So A Tropical Concept Nursery, that's where we got the loquat. That'd be worth trying there. Also, what's the name of the...
Jay Behringer?
I don't know whether he's got him or not.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I don't
possible.
know, but...
And then what's the one over on the East Valley that's always on our Instagram feed? Do you remember? It's another tropical place.
The Tropical Concept?
No, the Tropical Concept is the
that's
one
the
downtown. Yeah. So those are probably your best bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a few. The Tropical Nurseries is where you're going to find them. Yeah, good. What else?
Yeah. How many trees in average die during winter in your farm?
So we generally...
I missed a question, but go on.
Okay, so we generally don't lose trees in the wintertime here. Moringa, so we've lost a couple of moringa trees. If they're too small, you'll usually lose those during the wintertime, or at least we have. And so planting time is important on your moringas, and direct seed them. By all means, direct seed your moringas. We rarely use a direct seeded moringa that's planted at the beginning of monsoon season. So end of June, beginning of July, early July is your best time to put those, seed them directly into the ground, and you're probably not going to lose them if you protect them during the wintertime like we show you guys how to do here. But otherwise, we don't really lose trees in the wintertime. So the trees, all the trees here do fine. It's one of the reasons we don't do tropical trees, because tropical trees would be the concern. And because we lost, I mean, actually I take that back. Well, yeah, it was tropical. So the guavas, the
the guavas. At the old farm, we lost the Barbados cherry.
Tropical.
And even we have
the passion fruit, tropical.
And then we have our banana tree that we've had for 3 years now, and
it might be dead. Well,
we did not cover it this winter just to kind of see what would happen, and it died back.
Yeah, we're
pretty
never
much all the way, but there's green still on
we're
it.
We're never going to get fruit on that. So so I gave up on it this year. I'm like, you know what? Let it die. If it's going to die, let it go. If it doesn't, we'll let it sprout back up, and we'll keep watering the thing. But so your tropical trees would be the concern, which is another reason the main reason we don't do tropical trees here is our winter. So because we don't have time to baby the trees. You have to baby tropical trees here, especially out here outside of the city where we get down to 20 degrees. You have to add heat. You have to cover them. It's a pain. It's just not, we don't have the bandwidth for it. And so it's the reason why we don't do it. More power to you if you're in the city, you want to do that. Or if you're out here, just, make sure you get a heat lamp and something else to add some heat to those trees. So otherwise though, your deciduous trees need the cold. Your citrus trees, as long as it doesn't get below 20 degrees, they're not happy in the 20s. But if you get below 20, you got a real problem with citrus. But all of these trees that you guys see us growing here, they just plow right through the wintertime. Most of them need the chill hours in order to give you good production. And then, of course, these same trees, really, they can muscle through our summer times as well. So, yeah.
Is it possible to cut back a peach tree 1 year old, even though it is totally stripped from the nursery, from the bottom of the trunk? Do I have to feed it extra with nitrogen to let it grow again?
Okay, so I'm not sure I completely understand that question.
Possible to cut back
but yes, you can prune at planting. And typically we will do that, especially with stone fruit. If you have a very long trunk, you can lop those trunks off. Just be careful. Make sure you're not near the graft point. I've seen some very high graft points from certain nurseries. So make sure you got a couple feet of scion, which is the known variety, above the graft point before you cut that back. But yes, you can. In fact, we'll be doing that with the trees we're planting tomorrow. We'll be pruning those back pretty well when we go to do planting. So planting time is definitely one time to do some pruning. And those trees, because they've got a limited amount of root there, you don't want to go too much though, because you do need to make sure you got plenty of leaf matter that's going to feed the roots as they start to grow out into your soil. So, but yeah, now you can usually do that at planting time. You said 1 year old, so if it's in the ground, you probably still can if it's not all that big. Let me know how big what the caliper of the trunk is, so how thick the trunk is. So like thumb size, finger size. Let me know. What else?
Have someone that said, took your suggestion from last week and started cowpeas. Use your affiliate link. Hope you guys get your taste.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
We just planted were you going to say something?
I was going to say, yeah, so cowpeas, one of the beautiful things about cowpeas, so yeah, you can definitely plant them now. Peas are definitely one that you can direct seed into the ground right now. We had mentioned we've got beans coming up right now. Our Chapari beans are coming up because they reseed themselves, so now's the time. And then you will be able to plant cowpeas through summertime. So you can plant those in the middle of summer. So that's the beauty of cowpeas. We've literally planted cowpeas in July, August. And you still get a harvest. They're great ground cover. So yeah, cowpeas they're beasts, man.
Yeah.
They do great.
We just planted a jujube tree, unsure as to the exact variety, based on your suggestion in Phoenix last week. When do you think we should expect to see some signs of life?
It'll probably still be a month or two. So they do not like it until it's above 90 degrees. So they really don't like cold weather at all. So they're one of, if not the first tree in dormancy for us here. So you get into October, definitely by November, those leaves are gone. So where everybody else is like, yeah, I think I'm going to grow a little bit more. Hey, let's put on some new shoots. And they do not like the cold at all.
And it's one of the last ones to come out of dormancy in the spring. Yeah,
we had that question a bit earlier today where we're talking about trees that break dormancy late. Because we get excited about it, right? Yeah. You were just, tell everybody, you were just telling me this week how excited. Go.
I don't remember what you were saying. I don't know what you're
you're talking about the green on the. So I personally love every
just
season.
the green on the farm.
Right. So
Yeah.
I love every season, and even in the middle of winter, when I'm done with pruning, everything is so clean.
Yeah.
We always clean up the bases. We can see the whole farm. We can't see much of the farm when all the trees are green, and so we can see the whole farm. And so, you were talking about the fact that...
Well, yeah, and I like how clean it looks, but then also it just looks so brown.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much green there, so I really like it when the trees start coming back, and I just love looking around, just seeing all the green.
Yeah, and even the citrus trees. So, we got those little demons that run around here on 4 legs and scurry around with a bushy tail. You know what I'm talking about. So we got those little jerks that walk up and like to eat the leaves off there because there's nothing else green.
Entire branches of citrus leaves.
Yep. And then obviously the rabbits, there's nothing green. We haven't gotten any rain either.
Yeah.
So, but either way. But we have, a lot of the trees starting to come out of dormancy now. And so it is pretty amazing to see.
Yeah.
And so, we love every season.
I know.
Maybe not the middle of summer. I don't know if there's anything fun about the middle of summer, honestly.
Unless there's a fruit that we're harvesting.
Yeah. We usually we harvest them almost every month. So there is that.
Yeah. Grapes.
Grapes are harvesting.
Wine.
And there's wine make. Okay, so there's some.
Yeah, but it's always like when you're in the summer, you're like, oh, come on, I want the winter to come. But then when you get into winter, you're like, okay.
Why is it? Where's all the grain?
Yeah.
The ground, everything's barren.
I needed to warm up a little bit. I have 5-acre property in Douglas. What fruit trees do you think I can grow in that climate? I would like to make it a food forest.
All right, so...
and they're the one, and then they also said, so I shouldn't grow strawberry papayas.
No, I wouldn't.
Where's Douglas, Arizona? Is that south?
I don't remember exactly where that is. So if you want to maybe look that up real quick, check the planting zone. Or let us know what the planting zone is. But there's a few things. Again, once you're outside of the city. So if you're in Phoenix, it is a concrete jungle. So Phoenix is 5 or 6 degrees warmer than that same place would have been 100 years ago, 200 years ago. So, it's because of the concrete and everything that is involved in a city, it is just warmer. So, you get outside of that city and all of a sudden, just like us, you've got 20-degree nights. Well, those kill your tropical trees. They will kill them. And so you're going to take a lot of work. And if you're on 5 acres, I'm sure you're going to have other things that you're going to want to do. We do consultations with folks, and I will tell you, one of the biggest mistakes people make, and I'm going to encourage you, strongly suggest that you don't make this mistake, is don't do too much at once. Because you will wind up killing animals, killing trees, killing plants, and killing your hopes of what you got going on. So I want to encourage you. You got plenty of space. There's a lot of space there. But make sure you're planning out, zones. So, use permaculture zoning techniques. Start in zone 0, which is your home. Move to zone 1, which is immediately around your house. Start there, and then expand from there and do a few things at a time. So that being said, I would not take on any projects like a tropical tree. Not a good idea. Number 1, you're probably never going to get fruit. Number 2, you're probably going to kill the tree. Number 3, it's going to take extra time than pretty much any deciduous tree is going to do for you. And so I would encourage you, stick with your deciduous trees and varieties that do well here. We got a lot of, just check out the channel here. We've got a lot. You just go to fruit trees or pick your type of fruit tree. You go to our playlists. We break it down by different types of trees, and you can look at those playlists and get an idea of what you can do. What we do here, you should be able to do in Douglas. So what's the zone?
Yeah, so they're down at the border, so southeast of Tucson, and it looks like it's zone 8.
Okay, so if you're zone 8, you are definitely outside of the tropical.
I would not do tropicals.
Do not do tropical trees. So we're 9B, but we're basically 9A here. So we hit 20 degrees, and we won't bother. It's not worth our time, and so you won't be able to do it. You're going to be pulling them inside the house. You have to keep them in pots. And you're on 5 acres. Why do that? So my suggestion to you is, especially in zone 8, stick with your deciduous trees. You've got more chill hours than we do. So you can probably you might even try some traditional apples. Maybe lower chill apples, like your Gala is a lower chill apple. Give that a shot. Granny Smith's. I'm sorry, a little bit higher chill, but not super high. I said low chill. So, but your Gala, your Granny Smith, that type of apple tree, and then any of the apples that we grow here would be fine. Same thing with any of your stone fruit. You're going to be good with pretty much any stone fruit there that you're going to see us growing. You're still fine. And then in zone 8, you might even be able to try a cherry tree. It's possible, depending on how many chill hours you get. But yeah, I would stick with those. And then of course, be careful with citrus. So you should still be able to do some citrus. But be careful with things like pomelo. We had mentioned Mexican lime earlier. That's not a good idea. That likes warmer weather. But like your Arizona sweet, your lemon trees, those would probably still be okay in 8. You might need to cover them when you get below, like down into the low 20s, or definitely below 20 degrees, which you will in zone 8. Mm-hmm. So yeah, stick with your deciduous trees. So
yeah.
Yeah.
How can you get decent growth in nursery trees in smallish pots, like 5-gallon pots? Does it require synthetic fertilizer?
So I don't know that it would necessarily require synthetic fertilizer, but it's going to require fertilizer more often. So you're going to have to definitely keep track of that. You're going to have to keep track of moisture. So a moisture meter there is going to be your best friend. You're going to probably need to be able to move it pretty frequently in and out of shade as needed. So it's going to take a little bit more work, but yes, you may need to go to a synthetic fertilizer. I will tell you, so a lot of folks, we're big fans of organic, and when we first started the farm, beyond organic is kind of what we talked about, and people didn't understand that because we're not certified organic, but we use pretty much all organic methods, and so same thing when it comes to our inputs, they're organic as well, and so I'm a fan of that. But the primary driver and the reason why I feel that way is because we're trying to create soil, and we're trying to encourage soil life. This is in the ground. This is not in a pot. These all the trees that we have here, with a couple of roses as an exception, they're all in the ground. And so, we want to make sure that we're nurturing the soil biology in the soil. In a pot, that doesn't really apply. Now, you can argue that the water's going to go out of the pot down into the ground. I agree. But what you're growing, so where you're trying to get production, is not. And so at that point, definitely for me, I'm not concerned about a commercial fertilizer, a non-organic commercial fertilizer, or traditional fertilizer. So I don't think I wouldn't have an issue with that personally. And you may find that you're going to need to. But remember, no matter what you do, you're not going to get a lot of growth. And the challenge, of course, a large, fast-growing tree is because roots are going out. So even trees that are in nurseries, what you'll typically find with trees that are larger in a nursery pot, there's larger roots in there. They're root bound, so the roots are going around the tree like this, and you better get them out of the pot, or else it will kill the tree and definitely stunt the growth. But you can see that they're using synthetic fertilizers that are driving that massive growth, and it's choking the tree. So if you're going to keep a tree in a pot, that's a problem. So you're going to need to do that, plus root pruning. You're going to need to root prune fairly regular and probably up pot as often as you can. So if you're going to keep it in a 5-gallon pot, though, that tree's never going to be very big. It can't be unless it's going to be able to put roots down into the ground, which we find here with our potted trees.
Yeah.
So in fact, the best plant starts that we have in the nursery right now, all those trees have roots in the ground.
Yeah.
So because they've gone down through the pot, and all of a sudden, wow, that thing's growing like crazy. That's why.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Lori, you shared a post on Instagram the other day. You put the snake in a plastic bucket with scissors. Is it alive?
It's not alive. We killed it. People have that question to us all the time. There are times when we will relocate when we're able to. We weren't able to with this one, so we wound up putting this one down. But that wasn't scissors. That was
it's actually
a tongue.
So it's like a grabber that has, like a little. I don't know what it's
for
called.
grabbing poisonous snakes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's exactly what it's for.
Yeah. So it's a snake grabber. I don't know
what it's called.
Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't scissors. So yeah, it's actually got a little. They only close to about that far. So, and if it's small enough, it gets right out.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, one of the comments we had, that people that know what they're doing, which is not us.
I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to that.
No, neither do I. Is to grab it in the middle of the snake so that it doesn't break its neck.
I don't care about that. I'm going to kill it anyway. So
well,
the problem is, so the reason why I grabbed it at right below the head is because if I grab it in the middle, it still can swing around. I don't want it getting close to me.
I agree. Yeah, and the head is the dangerous part. The rest of it's not.
Yeah, I don't care about the rest of it. I didn't want that head near me, so that's why I grabbed it there.
That's fair. So, but yeah, so then the bucket. So tell everybody about the bucket. Yeah.
I put it in a bucket, and he yelled at me for not getting a lid for the bucket.
There was no lid for the bucket. I didn't yell at you.
Well,
but
I was going to hold it in there. I wasn't going to just put it in there because I didn't want it to come out. So I held it in the bucket. I just didn't want to carry it with my little stick. Yeah, so I put it in the bucket, carried the bucket with... I still had a hold of it the whole time in the bucket.
Yeah. Well, either way, so a lid would be great. Actually, somebody else suggested there's a specific bucket specifically for it that has a lid that snaps down on its own. That would be the right thing to do.
Yeah, it would be. But I lost all of our comments.
You lost? I can see them.
Where are they?
I'm not sure. You scrolled. Did you scroll?
I tried to.
Uh-oh. Oh, yeah. I'm not sure.
Everything's gone.
Huh. All right. Well, let's try to refresh that. Hopefully. Uh-oh, it's all falling apart now. We started talking about snakes and we're losing everything. Let me know if that comes back. All right. So we're going to try to get back to your comments because...
all I did was scroll down and it disappeared.
Huh. There you go. Now they're back. Now we're back.
I'm like afraid to touch anything here.
Maybe don't use the mouse.
But this isn't working. Now it is.
Okay. Huh.
Oh gosh. Come on, you guys.
Go ahead. There's going to be comments about killing a snake. So.
I know.
Yes, we do. Sometimes we relocate. Not always. So if we can't relocate, we don't. So we
I don't want to come back to my property.
No, we'd have to just go a mile or two away.
Yeah. Do you have pear jujube?
No. So we have a new jujube that we planted. You guys will see that here in another week or two. You'll watch us plant that. So I don't want to share which one. But we have the Aunt Admire, the Empress G, the Lang, and the Shaanxi Li. Shaanxi Li. So those are the varieties we have right now. And then the fifth one that you guys will see here in a couple weeks.
Will not be too warm for your dogs in June?
No. So these dogs are bred here in Phoenix, in and around Phoenix. So Sasha is from a breeder here in Whitman, and Maverick was from a breeder in Cave Creek. So, and all of their dogs are outside, and they're just fine. So they will have obviously plenty of access to water, both to stand in, play in, and drink. And obviously there's shade all over the farm. So yeah, no, they'll be just fine outside.
And they're livestock guardian dogs, so they're bred to be outside with livestock all the time.
Yeah, they're never inside. So those dogs can't come inside, otherwise they will not guard anything. So, yep. Good question.
Let's see.
And then also somebody asked, a few folks have asked that same question. And then, so if you, one of the things about Sasha, so Sasha is a Turkish dog. And so that Kangals are from Turkey. And so you figure our climate here is almost identical to Turkey. And so, yeah, so she's just fine out there.
Yeah.
So, and Maverick will just shed. So he'll shed most of his fur during the summertime and puts on a heavy layer of fur during the wintertime. So, yeah. And they both love the water. So,
yeah.
We usually have a pool. We had a pool out for them last year.
Yeah.
So, my guess is they'll probably spend some time in there too.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever had good Gala apple from your tree?
No. So, we've gotten, I think, a total of 2 Gala apples. Both of them have been about the size of a ping pong ball. Tiny. Really, really small. And the biggest problem is the trees go semi-dormant in the summertime. So they set fruit in April, right around April. So they set fruit in April, and those are not ripe until November, October, November. So they need to get through the entire summer. And here, just the sunshine, the heat, the trees go semi-dormant. They drop a lot of the fruit. And so we've only gotten a couple that have survived that long. And they're really, really small. So, and the fruit quality is not very good. So, yeah. We're trying it still, but we'll see.
Yeah. Any cherry types that can thrive in zone 9B?
No. The short answer is no. So there are, I've seen a couple. So the, let's see, something Lee. I'm trying to remember the names of them. There's 2, if you can pull those up. Crimson. Royal Crimson. Well, Royal Crimson, I think, was the one that was supposed to be self-fruitful.
One that
right?
we got, yeah.
Yep. So they generally, the rootstocks are number one. The rootstocks are poor. That they typically put those on. We've been able to get some to survive, but they've never flowered. and set fruit. So we've never been able to. So we've pretty much given up on those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. You trying to find those too?
Yeah, I think it was like Royal Lee.
Royal Lee and something else. I'm sure somebody here will know.
Yeah.
So you have to somebody else put it down in the comments. But yeah, the Royal Lee and the something or other.
Of course, it's not.
Mini Royal, and Royal Lee.
Yep.
Is that it?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yep. So not sure why I remember that.
Yeah, Mini Royal.
Yep. There you go.
Right.
So
yeah, and we tried both of those at the other property.
Twice.
Yeah.
And then we tried the other one, the Crimson something or other. Here we couldn't get that, didn't survive. So we just haven't had any luck with them. So we've pretty much given up on that. Here, I see blue. What's blue on the screen? Do you see blue down there?
No, I haven't gotten down there yet.
Oh, okay.
My house in Phoenix, I got free cow manure and covered the ground around my trees with unmulched leaves. What is your thoughts?
So yeah, the manure's fine. We use manure here as well. Make sure it's not up against the trunk. So have that down kind of in like an irrigation ditch or something. And then just be careful with the amount. So there shouldn't be a tremendous amount of manure around the tree, but generally speaking, you're going to probably be okay. Especially if it's established trees, you should be just fine. So yeah, manures are good. We use manures exclusively on all of our trees here. And if we had cow manure, I would use it. That would be preferable for me as well. So the only thing, one caveat to that is if it's not aged at all, it can be pretty strong. And so just be careful with that, especially if it's a young tree, because it could burn the roots, but probably not. And if you're using mulch, that's going to just kind of compost in place, and you're probably going to be just fine. So yeah. What else?
I noticed at the beginning of the segment you said tree planting time is now. Are you talking about every zone or just Arizona? I am 8A, North Carolina.
Okay, so if you're in North Carolina, yes, if you have bare root trees. So you're still in the bare root season. So I should, and I may have mentioned this if I didn't. Here in Arizona, we are past our last frost date. So our last frost date here in Arizona is the middle of February. And we're end of February here, where we're just outside of the city, just outside of Phoenix. And so we're kind of end of February is typically what we are, but our forecast didn't show any freezing temperatures. So once you're past your last frost date, then your potted trees go in. And so for us here in Arizona, we're past that last frost date. So take a look at whatever your last frost date is in North Carolina. My guess is you're probably looking at April, I'm guessing. But my guess is you're probably more like April in zone 8 in North Carolina. And you're probably looking at a couple more months. So that last frost rate is the key. So good question.
So yes, so we had Grace did a super chat.
Thank you, Grace.
Yes, thank you so much.
Extending some grace to us. I appreciate it.
I know. And then Abid said the Shangzi Li jujube tree is also known as the pear jujube.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So there we go. So then I guess we do.
Yep, and then Pam said that, by the way, when they shed, that dog hair is great for worms.
Oh, I didn't know that. Huh. Well, that's good to know. I imagine the cat hair probably is too.
Yeah.
Well, it's everywhere when they shed.
It's everywhere, even the goats. The goats shedding like crazy. Also.
Yep.
I watched your old videos on your well and irrigation. How do you protect the pump tanks pipes from the brief freezing weather?
So we have all of our plastic pipes wrapped. So the rest of it's a 1.5 inch pipe, I believe, is the primary metal pipes. Those we haven't had to wrap, and they've been okay. But all of our PVC is wrapped. So we have that wrapped with your insulated tape. So, yeah. And you can do that around it. We've done that around the metal pipes too. So if you're concerned, and ideally we probably should get them around all the metal pipes too, honestly. But yeah, there's a insulated tape you can get. It's typically it's aluminum. There's like an aluminum on the outside. So you can get those at any of the big box stores. We get it from Home Depot, and that's what we'll utilize. So all of our pipes going up to our hose bibs, we have all those wrapped. We only have one, but that one's wrapped in that same material. So yeah, for the hard freezes.
Is Satlap, you have a pluary? Yes. And then
well, it's not technically a pluary. We should clarify that because it's not a Zager hybrid. So So we'll take a step back.
And there's a second question to this also.
Okay, so I'll answer the second one. Let me answer the first one. So Pluary is a patented name. So Zager, Dave Wilson, Zager owns that patent. You cannot call a tree a Pluary unless you have paid for said patent to call your tree a Pluary. This is not a Dave Wilson tree. This is a tree that Reed developed, and so it is a plum hybrid. So it's a plum and cherry hybrid. It's not a Pluary. I need to clarify that because I know Reed would give us no end of crap if we didn't clarify the fact that it's not a Pluary.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, if it is doing well there, could the Lapin cherry thrive as well?
No, so different. So you have the plum is the parentage. So Sat Lap, that means it's a Satsuma. So we have an actual Pluary, which is the sweet treat Pluary, which is a combination. I don't know which type of plum it is, but either way, it's a plum with cherry, so it's fine. Because the plum is the main parentage.
Yeah.
And so it takes the plum, that's the primary part of the fruit. It looks like a plum, and then it has some cherry kind of flavor, and it's a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still actually a plum. And so they do just fine. And lower chill hours, all that kind of great stuff. So your Lapin's cherry, much, much higher chill hours, and it is a traditional cherry. So.
Do you have a video that shows what to look for in roots you talk about?
Okay, so roots mean root stock, maybe?
Probably root stock.
So I don't know that we have we don't have a video just on rootstocks. I guess we probably should do that. So we can talk a little bit about rootstocks. I don't know if we have. That's actually a good suggestion. Let's take that down. You got notes?
Nope.
No notes?
I can make notes.
So that's a great suggestion. We haven't done that. So we can talk a little bit about the rootstocks that we have here, the importance of it. We typically do that every time we plant a tree. We usually wind up discussing rootstocks unless it's a tree that's not on a rootstock. But yeah, we should do that. It's a good suggestion. You texted me?
Why is rootstocks important or something?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll do that.
Yeah.
Good suggestion. What else?
We're caught up on questions.
What?
Yeah,
What time is it?
We're at 2:57.
Hey, look at that. Everybody knows.
They're like, okay, don't ask anything else.
If you have any last minute questions, we'll get to those here really quick. You guys have been great today. So the hours zooms by. It just zooms by. So, but really appreciate you guys being here today.
Yeah.
A lot of different topics again today.
Yeah.
So really appreciate you guys being here with us today. So this was the Desert Farmer Podcast, episode 47, here in February. Key thing today, like we talked about, for us here in Arizona, to specify, because we had the question from North Carolina, for us here in Arizona and anywhere else, once you're past that last frost date, that is the time to plant. We are in planting season. I want to encourage you guys here, especially in central Arizona, start getting those things planted. Plant your trees, plant your brambles, plant your vines, plant your direct seeded crops, all that stuff. Now is the time. We have a very, very short window, and then it gets way too hot for everything. So now's the time to plant them. You've got a few weeks for most of those, probably the next month or so. You can do that. So might as well start now. No better time than today, except for maybe tomorrow, and then within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But really appreciate you guys being here today. So again, the Desert Farmer Podcast, episode 47. One of the things we talk about each week is the fact that you guys spend time with us. And time, the most valuable thing we have here on the planet is time. You guys choose to spend that here with us. A lot of you guys, we see you every week. We really appreciate it. You guys are like extended family to us. But, this is, giving us an opportunity to answer your questions, give back to you guys as a community. And we really do appreciate you being here.
Yeah. And then just follow up with that Satlap. Mike was asking, Satlap and Satsuma just pollinated with Lapin cherry. So I think he's asking how it goes across.
Correct. So it's cross-pollination. So you'd have to take the pollen from a Lapin's cherry and the flower of a Satsuma, and those two are combined and they're controlled. So there's nothing else that gets combined in there. And so that's how they develop those. So
Yeah.
Good question.
Oh, I see Iris dude on here. I don't know if you're still here.
Patrick?
But, yep. So our irises, 5 of the 6 have made it. So they're actually putting on some good growth right now.
Some fantastic growth. Yep. Yeah, they look great.
Anyways.
Awesome. Any other questions? We got everybody? Awesome.
Wrap things up by letting us know the drink of the day.
Oh, yep.
So I just have a hard seltzer.
Oh, you make it easy.
I know. It's easy just to grab a can and dump it in there instead of mixing a drink.
And just go for it.
But I have lemon martinis ready for us to have.
Lemon martinis are coming up. I won't drink during this, but right afterwards, we'll have one.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Just want to thank you guys again for being here today. Want to encourage you again, get those trees planted. We'll be doing that here this weekend, so looking forward to that. And look forward to seeing you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. That is 2:00 Arizona time is when we do this podcast live. If you have any questions you want to forward to us during the week, please do that. You might see it as one of our topics of the week. Mm-hmm. But until next week, we just want to remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere,
so can you.
Mm-hmm. Bye, everyone.
Bye.